This next speaker is going to give you guys the blueprint. He coaches, all of his coaching clients earn over 7 figures. He has 100 coaches under him. He's a coach of coaches. He coaches some of the top people in the industry. And I've actually been using a lot of his coaching, and I always said, like, oh, Workman Success System, Workman. We just had an opportunity to connect backstage, Verl Workman. So you guys need to be at the edge of your seat. This information can radically transform your real estate business, and if you want to build a team or thinking about it, this conversation is going to make a huge impact. So without further ado, let's give a huge round of applause for Verl Workman. Woo!
Thank you. Hey, thank you. All right, I appreciate it. I'll take the hug. All right, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Okay, it's been, there's been a lot of great information this morning, a lot of good meat, a lot of good information. I'm going to talk for the next few minutes about predictable greatness. I believe that greatness is predictable. How many of you like that concept? Predictable greatness. I also learned that average is also predictable. And that if you watch and follow people's activities, you can almost always determine whether or not they're going to have success. So I'm going to jump right into it, and I'm going to share with you a few things. It's kind of interesting in the shifting market that we're in. How many of you felt it? How many of you felt a little bit of a shift? Like, we've had a couple of crazy good years. COVID was a horrible thing and a blessing because we all got crazy in real estate. One of the things I learned is that people buy and sell houses regardless of what's going on in the marketplace. And it's not interest rates, and it's not a pandemic that caused people to move. It's life events, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. I was at a conference recently, and the CEO stood up on stage and shared the list of how to survive in a shifting market. Let me give you these skills. Work longer hours. Nope. Market. Set some goals. I love this one. You got to go to the office. I'm thinking about this, and I'm going, have a backup plan. Like, I don't have a backup plan, folks. If this gig doesn't work for me, I'm out. There's no backup plan. How many of you have a backup plan? Like, what are you going to do, get a job? I mean, like, there is no greater business than real estate. What we do is phenomenal. Find a support system. Let's hang out with a bunch of other people that are wallowing in mediocrity and support each other. Build a network. Now, I like that concept. That's a good concept. Become a local expert. We heard that today. Take some more classes. Okay, all right, so that's my favorite one. Like, what should we do? We're not making any money. You should take a class. Yeah, I don't care what the class is. I don't even do CE classes. You know why? Because they don't teach you how to sell, how to make money, how to survive in a market that is changing, and then stay positive, have a good positive attitude. And when I got done listening to the recipe for success, I just thought, are you freaking kidding me? Like, are you serious about this? How are you really going to create greatness? Did you know that the agent income, according to the National Association of Realtors, is $54,000? $54,000 a year. After 16 years, the average realtor makes a whopping $85,000. You want some good news? You could also work at Taco Bell. The average Taco Bell manager in the United States makes $56,000 to $75,000. You know, it's interesting. We have this perception you can make a boatload of money in real estate. Let me ask you all a question. How many of you believe that there's a different level that you could be performing at? Like, honestly, you believe that there's another level? Anybody? Look, it's fun. I see Kristen on the front. She raises her hand first. When you see the highest performers, they always believe that there's another level, and I love that energy. Well, I think that we have, the beliefs that we have are based on the experience we've had in our life today. And so all of these experiences we have formed what we believe is possible. And then our beliefs control our actions. So the way we behave in our day is directly related to what we believe is possible. And the results we get, folks, are directly related to those things that we focus on or our actions. I have to tell you a little bit about my family. By the way, this is my family. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's my dad. Today was my dad's birthday, 7/11. My sister sent me a text. I was sitting by Brent, and it said, happy birthday. She thought it was my birthday, but mine's not till the 19th. My dad's was today, 7/11, free Slurpees. I'm the little guy on the far left over there. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a high school history teacher, a former Marine. I learned as a kid there's no such thing as a former Marine. My dad used to wake us up in the morning and yell reveille down the stairs, and all 7 little kids would march upstairs, and we'd sit at the table, read in our scriptures, and write in our journals. That was our routine till I was 11 years old. As a high school history teacher, my dad didn't make a lot of money. It was 7 kids. You can tell my mom made all those shirts. All the boys are matching right there. My mom made those. They were not cool. I remember, my dad, when I was 11 years old, my dad had a brain aneurysm. He had a blood vessel burst in his brain. And my whole life changed. We went from having not a lot of money to having no money. My mom's a stay-at-home mom with 7 kids. And I grew up on church welfare. I grew up by being farmed out to the neighbors, and all 7 kids lived with different families. I lived with 4 or 5 different families all through junior high school and high school. And I learned that family was everything, because when you don't have it and it's taken away from you, it kind of changes the way you look at the world. My mom was an only child, or my mom was not an only child. My mom moved here from Holland. She was a first-generation immigrant from Holland. Now, it's kind of funny because she named me Verl, and she couldn't even say it. She called me Verl. I'm like, Mom, why would you name me something you can't even say? And she go, oh, Verl. I'm like, what? On the side of my boat, my son Nate put a little sticker that says Captain Verl, just to mess with me. And my dad was an only child from a little town in Iowa, so I grew up without any cousins or uncles or aunts. My relatives were in Holland. My dad grew up in foster care, so we just didn't have any family. And I wanted to build a business that my family would want to be a part of. And I wanted to have a big family. I met my wife when I was 15 and she was 12. She showed up at church and I was like, sup? Her mom was like, you stay away from that Workman kid. There's no supervision at his house. And that was true. Absolutely. We've been married 37 years, 38 in August. We now have 6 children, 9.5 grandchildren. I have my 3rd grandson coming. And all of our family lives close. All 3 of my married kids work with us at Workman Success Systems. They all live within 5 miles. I have them every day for Sunday dinner. I wanted to build a family that was close. I wanted my kids and their kids to have cousins, because I didn't know what that was like. I was always jealous of my friends because they go play with their cousins. I was like, what's a cousin? How do you get one? I want some cousins. So I remember starting my first business at 22 years old. So what does a kid do? I'm scrappy. I'm trying to figure out how to make a living. My mom told me, you're not that smart. You shouldn't go to college. She didn't have any money to send me to college. I didn't know there were all these programs. So I did a couple months at the community college. It wasn't my jam. I'm just not that smart. What I love is I love to sell. I get up every morning and I eat rejection for breakfast. Like, I love it. I used to pull my wagon around the neighborhood and sell candy door to door. Like, just literally trying to figure out a way to make a living. The first business I had, so what do you do when you're a scrappy young guy? You go to the fair and you sell hot tubs. At 22 years old, I opened a satellite dish store. Now, you got to know, selling satellite dishes and hot tubs, that is not nobody aspires to be that. I'm the guy at the fair selling 10-foot satellite dishes, and people don't go to the fair to buy a satellite or a hot tub. First, we did satellite dishes. Everybody come to them and they'd be like, oh, I want to get a satellite dish so I can have more sports and watch all these great things. And the spouse would usually say, why do you need that ugly thing in the yard? Why can't we have something the whole family could enjoy? And I'd say, like what? And they'd say, a hot tub. And I'd pull out a brochure and say, why do you have to choose? I can put a hot tub in the back, run a line right out from your satellite dish. You can sit in the satellite. I remember in this, you guys laugh, but we were awesome. It was awesome. I was the biggest satellite reseller in Salt Lake City. I remember my first state fair, I set a goal. My goal was I want to sell 10 hot tubs because I believed that I could. 10 hot tubs, you make $1,000 a spa. If I could just make $10,000 in 10 days, that would be game-changing. My dad made about $40,000 as a school teacher, and that was my measure of success. I believed my beliefs were formed and based on the activities that I had or the experiences that I had in my life up to that point. And when I set my goal at 10 hot tubs, I knew I could hit it. And I worked every day, and we went to the fair. I rented an inflatable gorilla. And you know what it said on his chest? Sale. Epic marketing. The very last day of the fair, I sold my 10th hot tub, and I go get in line to get the frozen lemonade for my sales guy, and I'm standing there, and I get my lemon, I turn around. The guy standing behind me is the only guy at a fair with a logo shirt on, and he looks sharp. You know what his shirt said? Cal Spas. I'm like, nice. How'd you guys do? He says, we did all right. How about you, son? Like I was a kid. I was. And I said, oh, we got our goal. He goes, oh, I'm proud of you. What was your goal? I said, I don't want to say, but 10. And he goes, huh. I'm like, what? He goes, well, we sold 10 this afternoon. I'm like, well, what did you sell? He said, we sold 100. That was my first experience on somebody that had a different belief and that they behaved differently. We're at the same fair. We're selling comparable products. One's getting 10, one's getting 100. What's the difference between these two groups? And it all begins with the belief that it was possible. And so you know what I did? I put on my disguise, and I walked over to their booth, and I watched everything they did. I watched how they greeted clients, how they had the manager talk to people, how the service guy was bored because their spas never break. And then I thought, don't ever sit in an empty hot tub at the state fair. That's where we got you. If you get in an empty hot tub, they bring you something to drink and a clipboard, and that's when they write the sale. I'm telling you, it's masterful. We watched their system. And the following year, we copied them and sold 70 hot tubs. My experience changed, and my activities, I copied someone who was doing it better than me, and then we got a different result. Greatness became predictable if we study success. I'm going to say that sitting here this morning, speaker after speaker after speaker has shared with us something great. We've had great nuggets on every kind of concept, on mindset, on marketing, on video. I love the belief that you can do something different. But here's what I found. A lot of people will say that if you take little incremental steps, you can get great things. I think that's a bunch of crap. I think that massive action, you have to do something big and different if you want to get a massive result. You can't just inch your way to it. How many of you are into some massive action? Like, are you ready to like do something big, something different, and like really make a difference? Like, should we take it up another notch? Okay, so you have to find someone who's doing it better than you and just flat out copy them. That is the secret to success. Greatness is predictable and it leaves clues. And when you find greatness and you start to begin to copy it, what happens is you start to have new experiences. And then you believe that those activities you're focused on actually work. And then you start to believe more. I think it's interesting that so many of us are walking around with our head in the clouds thinking that the business is going to come to us. I'm telling you something, folks. Wish marketing doesn't work. Oh, I sure wish somebody would call me. Like, Tom Hopkins said, you got to see 20 people belly to belly. That's easier for me. I don't have to get that close. 20 people belly to belly every day. You got to see 20 people. This is a contact sport. You know, walking around. Have you ever heard the phrase, you can't see the forest for the trees? And everybody giving you advice is in the same forest? It's like, how do you get advice from somebody that sits at an elevated position, like a drone or a hot air balloon, or somebody that can see the forest from a different perspective? And they're the ones that are sharing with you advice and counsel and how to go. When you have help from a different position, it changes the nature of your path. We call that coaching. Coaching matters. When you talk to I don't think there was a high performer on stage that didn't talk about or participate in some kind of coaching. Coaching matters. I'm a big fan of Og Mandino. How many of you read Og Mandino's The Greatest Salesman in the World? Anybody read that? All right, one of my favorite books. I sat next to Dave Blanchard on a flight coming back from a Boomtown conference. And he lives in Salt Lake City too. And we were sitting talking about it. I told him how I read it in high school. It made me, like, I just changed the way I thought about life. Og writes Christian books. And he was under all this pressure to write a new book, and he had a hard time coming up with the concept. So he came up with this book called The Greatest Salesman in the World, and it's a parable about a young man who wants to become a great salesman. He seeks out a mentor, and the mentor gives him activities or things he could do so he could create different experiences. And as he went out in the world, he started getting these new beliefs. And then he said, when you get these 10 scrolls done, and you've done all of these things, and your beliefs are now consistent with mine, then I'll unlock the doors to being the greatest salesman. And those experiences were the things that did it. The very first scroll says this, and you can go to page 57. It says, today I begin a new life. Today I shed my old skin, which has long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I'm born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard where there's fruit for all. He's basically saying, all right, anybody want a do-over? What if I could let you start over today? Anybody want to start fresh? Would you like to get rid of all the crap that you've had to deal with, all your excuses for failure? Og Mandino says, I'm going to let you let it go. He says, if you can imagine like a like a Santa sack that you carry around. Whenever you don't hit your numbers or whenever you fall short of your goals, whenever your relationships don't work out, you reach into that bag of excuses and you dig one out and it says, yeah, this always happens to me. I'm going to give you permission to just let it go. And let's just forget about it and let's just move on. No more excuses. You know, I don't like tapes. They don't sound very good. So stop playing them. On the second page, when you flip the page on page 58, he says, the difference between those who've succeeded and those who failed lies in their habits. Good habits are the unlocked door to success. Bad habits are the key to failure. So the first law I will follow is I will form good habits and become their slave. Now I'm going to ask you all a question, and I'm going to ask simple this. Is it possible that we could change some of your current habits with better habits? You really believe that? Okay, so how do we figure it out? I'm going to give you a few Verlisms today. You're going to hear them. I'm going to rattle them off. The first one is this. That which gets measured gets done. That which gets measured gets done. I believe it to my core. So we created a program called the Daily Success Habits Tracker. What if every day you set a goal to get 61 points doing dollar productive activities? The Daily Success Habits Tracker. I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff, so I'll give you everything. So I'll show you a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff. The Daily Success Habits Trackers, we track the number of calls we make, the number of conversations we have, the appointments we set, the appointments that are met, listing appointments taken, listing appointments sold. I want to know how many buyer agreements get signed and how many buyers sold. I want to break it down to figure out exactly what the formula is for greatness. And then when I want to increase my sales, I increase the activities that get there. Most of us don't actually know what the most important thing we focus on every day. And is it the number of calls you make? Is it the number of conversations you have? Or is it the number of appointments set? We don't know because we don't track it. When you track it, a lot of coaches talk about accountability. I'm going to give you a different perspective on accountability. First of all, I'm looking at all these strong people in the audience right here. Accountability is crap. Can I make you do something you don't want to do, sir? No, he's like, he actually had body language, just like, not only no. He's like, probably not. No, I can't. So why is it that we believe somebody's going to make us do something we don't want to do? Accountability is awareness. I believe that we're smart, intelligent people who want to succeed. But because we don't track the right things, we don't have the data coming in to make course corrections. And so accountability is awareness. When you track the right things and you measure right things, you see that what you're doing is not working, you make a course correction and you fix it. You don't need me to make you do it. Accountability is the most important choice you will ever make. And it comes by tracking it. At the beginning of the week, what we do is we call the thing called My Perfect Week. The way My Perfect Week works is you design what you want your week to look like. I like to have balance in 5 areas: family, faith, friends, fun, and fitness. Well, fitness or food, you can use those interchangeably. It's totally up to you. It doesn't matter to me what you pick. But you got to have balance. So as you have balance in these 5 things, you schedule the personal things in first. You decide what your day is going to look like. When are you going to show houses? When are you going to prospect? When do you do your team huddles? When do we role play and practice our scripts and dialogues? And then when do we have appointments? When somebody calls, instead of being a Pop-Tart realtor and popping up and saying, I can show you right now, you say, I can go morning or afternoon. And they say afternoon. You say, great, Tuesday or Thursday. And you put them in the time that you've set to show homes. When you start being intentional about your business and about your life, you begin to have balance. A great man once said that no other success can compensate for failure in the home. And I believe that. One of the hardest things for me as a coach was when somebody comes up to me and says, I say, tell me about your business. And they say, well, I'm a realtor, so I'm divorced. And it happens over and over and over again. Those 2 things should not be used. That's not the reason. If it is the reason, you're not doing it right. And so let's do it right. So now we're going to track what we do. And here's what we learned. So we coach, I don't know, somewhere around 650 high-performing teams all over the United States and Canada. All we do is teams, and we do teams really different. We focus on the holistic part of the team. But by tracking all their numbers, we start to get predictable numbers. Imagine this. Imagine there's only 3 things you do in your business. Everything else you should delegate. I'm all about leverage. So I said, that which gets measured gets done. I want you to look at this. We prospect, we list and show houses, and we negotiate contracts. How much of your day is spent doing those three things? Prospect, list and show houses, negotiate contracts. No? 50%? 20%? What do we do the rest of your day? How many of you do fake work. That's the pretending of being really, really busy, but not actually getting anywhere. Have you ever had that busy day, nothing accomplished day where you go like a wild person all day and you get home and your spouse is like, so what'd you do today? And you're like, I don't know. You're busy, but you don't do anything because you're not delegating the things you should let go of. We hang on to things that we need to let go of. When we track the number of dials, number of emails, handwritten notes, showing houses to clients, buyer appointments, listing appointments, and so forth, we start to get data. This is the income of those same people in the last 12 months. 9.1 million, 6.2 million, 3.6 million, 3.5 million, 3.4 million, 3.3 million. Most of these people started with me and they were making $250,000 or less. And then year over year, we double. You know why? Because that's what I believe you can do. Anybody want to double? Like wherever you are, how about we just double? I've watched people do it, and I've watched people do it wrong, and then you have to break it all down and rebuild it. Greatness is predictable, and so is average. If we started tracking your daily activities, and then you started writing down in 30-minute increments in the left-hand column what you actually did every day, what do you think we would discover? Are your activities consistent with greatness, or are they consistent with average? That's kind of a hard question to ask. By the way, you take these numbers right here. I mean, those are big numbers. Let's break them down even more. Here's what we've learned. This is kind of funny. Okay, we've learned that predictable greatness means it takes 5 minutes to have a contact or a conversation. It takes 18 conversations to get an appointment. It takes 18 conversations every 90 minutes. So every 90 minutes I get an appointment. Every 90 minutes is a listing appointment. That means, what does that mean in dollars? I'll tell you that we found that when you list 100% of the appointments you go on, you're only going out with friends. And you need new people coming in your database or you'll never grow. You want to build a 7-figure business? I can show you exactly how to do it, but you got to stop working with just your friends. You got to expand. We need new people. 211 appointments, you'll equal 55 listings every single time, and you don't even have to be that good at it. Here's what I've learned. I've learned that you're worth it. If you're spending 90 minutes to get a listing's $350, you get $10,500. That's $10,500 every 90 minutes focused on the right thing. That's $116.67 a minute or $7,000 an hour. So I'm going to give you something big right here. Anything that you can outsource in your business for less than $7,000 an hour, you should not be doing it. Think about that. And I'm going to make it even, I'm going to get a little bit more real with you for just a moment. I believe that no task is too small to outsource. You can outsource everything except your spouse. Don't outsource that. Greatest gift I ever gave my wife one year for Christmas was a home cook. My wife's love language is don't make her cook. Like, she hates cooking and she hates shopping for the food. Those are her two things. I love doing both, but I travel for a living, and so she's eating out. Man, my kids, they grew up eating out, and they're kind of food snobs. Best Christmas gift was a home chef. It cost me, $1,000, $1,500 a month, and he came in 4 days a week and cooked and shopped for all the groceries. I remember all my little kids sitting up at the bar, and he was making all these sauces and all these amazing things, and my wife was happy. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And there's so many things in your business that you focus on that you should be letting go of. How many of you have an assistant? Raise your hands high. Okay. Everybody else raise your hand. For those of you that don't have an assistant, I want to see who you are. Raise your hand if you don't have an assistant. More than half the room. Okay, now I want you to write this down. I am one. If you don't have an assistant, you are one. I believe the day you should get an assistant is the day you get your license. And every time you do something that you can outsource for $25 an hour, what you're saying to your spouse, your significant other, your children, is that they're not worth $25 an hour to you. I know, thank you for that, because it's real. I know that you don't believe that. You believe you're doing it for your kids. Our country's screwed up because the family is screwed up. And if we don't invest time in our families, it's going to continue to get worse. They just need you, folks. They need us. And so let it go. That thing that you hold on to that you can't let it go because you believe nobody can do it as good as you. There's so many other people. Not only can they do it as good as you, many of them do it better. And because it's outside your comfort zone anyway, you have to perform at a high level of anxiety whenever you're doing the paperwork or looking at your numbers. That's not even our happy place, so let it go. Just let it, can somebody please play the music from Frozen, Let It Go? We need some Let It Go music in here. Now, they don't have it, but that's okay. That would be really cool. I'm going to start doing that, Kristen, when we're going to let it go. All right, so we got to stop wishing people would call. I love all the marketing messaging today. Wish marketing doesn't work. You got to stop wishing, stop hoping, and you got to take action. Only action determines our value in the marketplace, and if you want to increase your value, we have to increase our actions. Does that make sense? That's another augmentino. We got to start adding value. I love it when we talked, like just this morning, we talked about social media. We talked about prospecting. I loved your prospecting talk this morning when you talked about picking up the phone and getting over your anxiety. I'm sitting listening to you and I'm like, okay, I'm not afraid. He's like, who's afraid to make a call? I'm like, I'm not. Give me the phone. I'll call everybody. But the reason we have a problem calling people is because we don't believe we have something of value to give them. Stop selling and start serving. And I say serve regardless. Like, forget about it. Serve regardless of opportunity. How many people you have in your life that will just give and give and give and they don't want anything back in return? That's how I want you to serve. Serve regardless of opportunity. When COVID hit, I'm part of a really cool speaker mastermind of the National Speakers Association. And we were on a mastermind call. COVID hits, and we watched millions of dollars in speaker fees evaporate from our calendars in 1 week. Cancellation after cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. You know what everybody did? They freaked out. And then now imagine being a professional speaker in the middle of a pandemic. And then you call people and say, we can do it virtual. I have a virtual studio. Well, that's fine, but I'm not paying for that. Everything changed overnight. And for the first time in my life, I sat with my daughter, who's the president of our company, and my son, Nate, who's here with me, that runs our sales and marketing team. We said, where are we? What does our business look like without events? We've always said events drive revenue. What does our business look like? And they said, you know what, Dad, we're okay. We're okay. If we don't have an event for 12 months, we're in good shape. I've never had that kind of security before. That's why you're with EXP, because you want money that continues to come in even when you're not selling houses. You want to know what the best attractor is? Success. Like, there is nothing that attracts better than signs in yards. When you have success, people want to know what it is you do and how you do it. So we decided we were going to serve the industry. We used to say serve before opportunity, and we changed it. We said we're going to serve regardless of opportunity. And we created how to be a master of virtual real estate, virtual open houses on steroids, how to do virtual prospecting, virtual listings. And we gave everything to everybody and every company in the industry. We just gave it away. I did 100 free webinars in the first 90 days of COVID. And you know what I learned? It felt good to actually share something with an audience and not have something that you wish you could get in return. Serving, regardless of opportunity, caused our business to grow when we couldn't even do events. How cool is that? Serve regardless of opportunity. When this market started to shift, we created a program called, how about this? The Shift. Brilliant. Like, there's some marketing for you. And here's what the shift does. What the shift does is it takes the emotional stress that people are feeling in the marketplace today that makes them feel stuck and have anxiety and hesitate and not move forward, and using great dialogue, scripting, emotional intelligence, move them from their current emotion to a re-engaged emotion of being ready to move forward. Anybody want to see what that looks like? All right, I'm going to give you some of this stuff. So the shift looks like this. The first one you have to know is the river of real estate. The river of real estate continues to flow. We tell the story. We give you a script. We give marketing and messaging that goes to the consumer that talks about why people move. According to Harvard, people are going to move. 14% of the population moves every year. We actually give you a calculator where you can put in your population, you put in the number of houses, and it tells you what percent is going to sell and how many homes will sell this year in your local market. It's really cool. And so when people are wondering if they should engage, just because we slow down doesn't mean it's going to stop. Another one is this. How many of you have clients that were in the market buying houses when rates were like 3%, and now they're at 7%, and they're on the sidelines sitting back? Anybody have clients like that? Yeah, like how many of you don't have any clients at all? Like, if you don't have clients like that, then there's a problem, right? We have to figure that out. So we created a program called the Interest Rate Offset. Now, whenever you do a program or a system, always use proprietary language. It's not that I have a better system, it's that I named mine and gave it a name. I call mine the interest rate offset. Have you heard about our interest rate offset program? The interest rate offset program is phenomenal because what it basically does is it takes where you were in the market before, we put in the price that you were buying at, how much your down was, it tells you what your payment was at 4.25. Now rates are 6.25. The difference is $35,000 over the next 7 years. My job as your agent is to offset as much of that as possible so that when you buy a home over the next 5 to 7 years before you refinance or move, we've offset as much of that as possible. If we could offset as much of that as possible, would you continue looking at houses? What do you think people say? They say yes, but because you don't have any value, we don't want to pick up the phone. I call everybody and say, have you heard about the interest rate offset program? They say, no, let me send it to you. I want to serve regardless of opportunity. We have 13 of these different scripts, emotional language. We have things that look like that. That's interest rate offset. We have things that look like for negotiating with builders. We have the new construction advantage, 18 reasons you need a realtor, the verified contingency sell program, the verified buyer program. And the whole program sets you up as a buyer's agent or a listing agent. We tell the story, we give you a tool or a resource, we give you a script and a dialogue, and then we give you the coaching language to coach your teams to it. The whole concept of Shift is to be able to give value with no strings attached. And if you have something of value, here's what I've learned. You'll pick up the phone. I'll call people and say, I've got something, maybe you haven't heard about this. It's our interest rate offset program. I just want to share it with you and your family. If you know someone's looking to buy a house, it might help them get off the fence. Because people are buying houses today. And they go, well, how does it work? All you need to do is open up a conversation. And conversations create engagement. And when they know you genuinely care about them and you want to serve, it opens them up to what happens next. How many of you think you'd sell more houses if you just have more leads? Anybody? If I just had more leads, I'd sell more. Nobody? Like 5 of you? Anybody want more leads? Come on. Look, guys, I love lead generation. I sold my last company to Homes.com. People like Boomtown and Sync and others hire us to come in and teach their teachers how to convert at a really high level. So you want to know a lead conversion system? I don't think you need more leads. I just think you need to convert more of the opportunities. How many of you like to have a proven system? Right now, I'm going to give it to you that will help you convert more of the opportunities that come into your pipeline. Like right now. Okay? All right, you got some energy, I'm going to give it to you. You first have to understand the ABCs. This isn't the first time you heard ABCs today. An A lead, I want you to remember this and write it down. An A lead is somebody you have an appointment with. What is an A lead? It's somebody you have an appointment with. So you go out and show houses this week and they don't buy, you say, I'm going to call you next week. That is not an appointment. You say you want to go to the beginning of the week or the end of the week, Monday or Tuesday, 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock. You set the appointment. We teach our agents to always set the next appointment. When you have an A lead, they're ready to buy or sell, and you always have a scheduled appointment. It keeps people moving forward in the process, and they know you're serious about the business. An A lead has a what? It's an appointment. It's not someone who's ready to go. If I say to somebody on my team, how many A leads you have, and they say 6, I say, show me your calendar. If there's 3 appointments, there's 3 A leads. Everybody else is a B or a C. An A lead is an appointment. A B lead is someone who's 30 to 90 days out. We're going to call them 2 times a month at a specific week. We call B leads during the week that the 1st falls in and the week that the 15th falls in. When you call your B leads, you call them the weeks of the 1st and the 15th. You can go into any CRM, you can pull up your KV core, you open it up and you dial it in, you say, give me all my B leads, and you just start picking up the phone. What do you say when you call a B lead? You guys want a script? Yes. Try this. Sup? No, don't do that. Okay. All right, so, hi, this is Verl. I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. When you're calling to make sure it's you that's not dropping the ball, it completely removes the barrier. I believe in non-barrier selling. So I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. Are you getting the properties that we've been sending out? Is there anything you'd like to see? Would you like me to change something into your search? Does that sound like a hard dialogue? Because I'm not selling. What am I doing? I'm serving, regardless of the opportunity. I'm not going to change it if you do a contract. I'm not going to do it. I'm just serving. And I'm going to do for it. I'm going to get to know them. I want to know about their family, their occupation, their recreation, and what's next for them. Why are they moving? What is it about the neighborhood that interests them? I'm going to do everything I can to get as much information so I can get to know them and connect with them on a personal level. An A lead, we have a what? Appointment. A B lead, we're going to call how times a month? Twice a month during what weeks? 1st and the 15th. A C lead is more than 90 days out. We're going to call them once a month during the week of the 8th. An A lead is appointment. A B lead we call twice a month, 1st and the 15th weeks. C leads we call during the week of the 8th. What is this? It's a system. Here's another Verlism. Anything you do 3 times, I want you to create a system for it. Systems, systems, systems. You have assistants and we have systems. And when you put great people into great systems, you get predictable results. When you put average people into no systems, you get crap. It's true. I mean, you can laugh, but it's true. A C lead, we're going to call once a month. What do you think I'm going to say to a C lead? Anybody have an idea? How about this? Hey, it's Verl. I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. Say the same thing. I mean, what are they going to do? Hey, whoa, ho, ho. You said that to your B leads earlier. like, they don't know. Say something. And I'll tell you what, if when you're making your calls and you're prospecting, if people don't engage with you and you're not setting appointments, you're not warming them up, I don't care what you say, just stop saying that because it's not working. Just change it. Record yourself. Listen to your scripts. We use a thing called Pickle AI on all our sales calls. We track every sales call. I can see every time a client gives a buying signal, and I can pick up whether the salesperson caught on it and asked a tie-down question. And then we go back and we evaluate those calls and we score them and we give them feedback. And when we do that, we get predictable results because when something's not working, we change it. How many of you are loving AI? Are you having fun with that? I'm launching next week at the National Speakers Association, Verl AI. Or as we like to call it, Big V AI. It's everything I've ever said, everything I've ever written, everything we've ever produced, every coaching call, all transformed into artificial intelligence. So when one of our clients asks a question, it answers in Verl. How cool is that? And it doesn't mix it up with everything else that's on ChatGPT. It uses their engine. This is happening later this week in Orlando. It's going to be kind of a cool thing. Okay, so that's cool. I'm excited about that. All right, so A, B's, and C's, we talked about that. During the week of the 22nd, I want to work your sphere. You got to work your sphere differently. I'm going to give you another system. I told Brent says, Verl, I don't care what you do. We want to help our people sell more houses. Everybody okay with that? He says, just help us sell more houses because success is a great attractor. And when we're not making money, we get hungry. Look, I grew up in poverty, and here's what I've learned about poverty. Poverty sucks. It just does. When you have to rely on the generosity of others to eat or to play sports or to buy shoes or to have even a pair of jeans, it's not a happy place. And I've come from that, and what I've learned is I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated because I never want to be poor, and I never want my kids to experience what I experienced as a kid. And so that's what drives me. It's the experiences that my kids, you know what my 16-year-old's job is? Be cute, have great shoes, and get good grades. That's her job. I want her job. I want to come back as one of my younger kids. My older kids had to mow lawns. My younger kids, whole different ball game. All right, I'm going to give you the 3, 2, 1s. 3, 2, 1s. 3, 2, 1. Every day, I want you to prospect until you add 3 new people into your database. Let's start building again. What's the name of this conference? Build. We can't build if we don't call. We got to see 20 people belly to belly, and you got to find some new people. We're going to add 3 people into our database every day. 3 every day. Add them into your database. I don't care if they're buyers or sellers. Someday they will be. Then I want you to prospect. I want you to prospect until you find 2 new prospects every day. 3 past clients, sphere of influence, add them into the database, prospect till we find 2 new people, and then I want you to learn 1 new thing. 3, 2, 1s. We're going to start doing it every single day. How many of you believe if for the next 60 days you did 61 points of rhythm, daily success habits, you did 3, 2, 1s, and you just put ABC lead follow-up into place and started being systematic at the way you convert? How many of you believe that your income would elevate? Okay, so you believe that it'll happen, but why won't most of us do it? I don't think it's because you're lazy. I think you don't know. And so because you don't know, you haven't had the experience that those activities work. You have the good intention to do them, but you just don't do it. And so for me, it requires somebody on the outside saying, Verl, hey, if you keep doing that, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Maybe we need to just do things a little bit differently. It's kind of, how many of you use and rely on your GPS in the car? Anybody ever make a wrong turn or get off the wrong exit? What does it say? Rerouting. Mine does it with an English accent. Recalculating. I'm like, great. Don't be cheeky. And I turn around. Who's doing that for you in your business? Who is looking at your business, looking at your direction, and when you get off track, asking that question? Recalculating. Make a U-turn. Just stop. Just pull over. Let someone else drive. Oh, wait, that's my wife. Okay, 3, 2, 1s. All right. Scroll number 2, Ogmandino. Ogmandino said this. He said, scroll number 2, he says, I will greet this day with love in my heart. What does love have to do with sales? Anything at all? I mean, do you really believe it? He says, I will greet this day with love in my heart. And how will I confront those in whom I meet? I will answer them in only one way. In silence and to myself, I will say, I love you. Though spoken in silence, those words will unwrinkle my brow, put a smile on my lips. And who is it that can say nay to my goods when their heart feels my love? Come on, is that cheesy? Does it work? All right, I need everybody on your feet. Everybody stand up for just a minute. We need a little energy in the room. I want you to just look for someone you did not come with, look him in the eye, tell him you love him. I love you. All right, now there's a few of you that are a little too enthusiastic about this exercise. All right, Gary, thank you for doing that. Okay, what just happened to the energy in the room? It is physically impossible to look someone in the eye and say, I love them, and not smile. You can sit down. You guys can sit down. I love this guy in the back. He's like, come on, give me some love. Where are you? Get over here. It just works. You think it works in prospecting? Try it when you're having a disagreement or argument with your spouse. Instead of listening to respond, silently into yourself say, I love you, and listen to understand, and then respond, and watch how it changes the nature of your conflict. It goes away because your heart knows. It's not about the thing we're fighting about. It's that I love you and we see things differently, so we got to figure out how to get on the same page. It changes the way we communicate with everybody. Pick up the phone and say, I love you. And now if you have an auto dialer, make sure you say it silently. It's like, I love you. It's like, who is this? Be careful. Okay, I'm going to give you another system. This is called 8651. It's how to close 86 transactions a year working with 50 people 1 hour a day. Now, I don't have a QR code to give you for this stuff, so here's what I want you to do. Everybody get a card out, and I'm going to just write stuff on the back of it. And then, where's Nate? Nate and Dan, where are you guys? I know they're right back in the corner by the exit door. As you guys go to lunch, just throw a card down there. I'll email you everything. I'll give you shift modules. I'll give you 8651, the ebook. I'll give you the system that follows up with it. Like, I'm just going to give it to you because I've learned you'll copy everything except the hard work. I'm sorry, but it's true. How to close 86 deals a year, working with 50 people 1 hour a day. You do one personal touch with the top 50 people in your life that are most likely to give you one referral a year. We have one personal touch. It's not a phone call. It's not an email. It's not a text. It's not social media. We go out to lunch, dinner. We have coffee. We do something to have a personal touch with all 50 of them every single month for 12 months. You can't do 60, and you can't do 30, and you can't do 40. You have to do 50. It's a real number. We have proven over and over and over again, you can close 86 deals a year working with 50 people 1 hour a day. I'll give you the system for it. It's about seeing people shoulder to shoulder. I just love that picture because one of my favorite coaches is Rick G. High in there. Look at Rick over there. He's all happy. He's in my top 50. Top 50 is a game changer, and the agents who use it, not only changes their life, it changes their income, it changes their balance in their life. There's nothing greater than referral business because they don't shop you. And so if you've got 50 people that are your raving fans that are giving you referrals, in the book we teach you how to do it, what to say, how to market to them, how to tell them you're in the top 50. We do events and we drive it, and then we track it all, and we can track all your top 50. It's a game changer. I know that I met Nick a year ago at a conference. 1 year. In 1 year, as the market changed, I met a bunch of people at the same conference. The next year, in this February at the conference, Nick came back. He said, I went from 495 to 708. That's not the big impressive thing. I think that's a big deal. But he went from feeling guilty and overwhelmed and exhausted as a young father to putting less than 5,000 miles on his car, and now he's excited and satisfied, but most important, he's present in the lives of his kids. He's there. He's not there and on his phone. If you can double your income and double your free time, to me, that's when we're making a difference. I won't help you if it's about the money for you, but I'll help you if you want to have a better life. So many of us build a real estate business that becomes our lifestyle. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to define what you want your lifestyle to look like, and then let's define a business that supports it. What do you think of that concept? If all your friends are realtors, we need some new friends. Josh May adopted 2 more children in the last 5 years, the last couple years. He went from 650 to 1.5 million in the last 5 years. What he'll tell you that he's now relaxed and he's in control. He doesn't have to go on listings. He doesn't have to work with buyers. He continues to grow every single year. It's interesting when you're frustrated or you're overwhelmed, it causes you to step back and pause instead of take action and move forward. Here's what I've learned about predictable greatness. I've learned that when we coach someone in the year 1, they grow 65%. By year 3, they've grown 137%, and by year 5, 241%. Greatness is predictable if you follow the recipe. At coach training last week, Rick was there. We had 100 of our coaches all in a room, and we were talking about the recipe to success and the difference between cooking and baking. When you're baking, you have to follow the recipe or it gets all messed up. When you're cooking, you can be creative. I first want to teach you the 12 key concepts of baking. And if you do these and you execute with a high level of persistence, you're going to get a very predictable result. Is there anybody that would benefit from closing an additional 2 transactions a month? Would that be helpful? I'm going to skip a slide and I'm going to share with you how we do that. So when Brent asked me to put this together, this is Brooke Stein. She actually has 2 7-figure teams. It's time to sell more houses. Brent said to me, Verl, who do you guys coach? We coach so many of EXP's high performers and high-performing teams and coaches, and it's really interesting what they have in common. And I'll tell you what they are. He said, Verl, who do you coach? And I said, have you ever seen like a puppy with a kid in the park, and that puppy's pulling the kid, and they're like trying to keep up with him? He says, yeah. I said, we coach that puppy. Who are you in this story? Who are you in the story, folks? Are you the person who is saying, Coach, put me in, just show me what to do? I just need a recipe for success. I want to follow the recipe for a predictable outcome of high income and life balance. I'm going to say that if you get your house in order with your real estate business or team, when you start to grow your organization, you do it with a high level of comfort and you do it with a high level of expectation of success, because your house is in order. But when your house is not in order and you're sitting down with someone and talking about the opportunity, yet you don't partake of the opportunity, you're not making any money, it's a hollow promise. And so let's get our houses in order. Would you like to do that, folks? Yes. That's like a 4. Yep. Okay. Who's the puppy? Who's like, put me in, Coach? Like, it's always the smallest kid on the bench. It's like, come on, Coach, put me in. I got to play. I want that. That's who I coach. All right, so Brent asked me to put together a program. So many of top performers at EXP, some of the people that use our systems are these, and there's so many more. Our program, we developed a program just for this conference. I'm going to sell it one time. I don't coach people anymore. I have 3 clients. We have hundreds that we coach, but I don't coach. And Brent says, Verl, I want you to help our people. I want you to help them produce more transactions. I want you to help them with their productivity, their performance, and their profitability. Anybody want to make more money? Yeah. And I said, I'll do it, Brent, but only if you do it with me. Is that not true? I said, I'll do it. I'm going to get back into production, and I'm going to do one group of 200 people, and we're going to take you for the next 12 months through the 12 key concepts of predictable greatness, from structuring your team correctly to building your business. If you're making less than $250, you want to get in the group coaching. If you're making more than that, you really want to build your team, talk to one of my guys about one-on-one coaching, and they'll help you with that. I'm going to give you a QR code. Brent told me that he'll do this with me. So we're going to be on these calls. We're going to be talking about not only daily success habits, but I'm going to put you into my full coaching platform, which is reserved for our one-on-one clients. And we're going to give you all kinds of tools and resources and access to video and training to help you develop in a performance perspective. This is 100% on selling more houses. I'm not going to focus on attraction. I'm going to focus on selling houses. You guys okay with that? Okay, there's no agenda. All I want you to do is double. Like, I will get no extra satisfaction if you fail. I only want you to succeed. I want you to do it and have a great business and family life. And so Brent said he'd do it with me. We're going to be on these calls. We'll do 2 calls a month for the next 12 months. We have 12 topics and themes. The first call will be tactical. The second call will be accountability. Here's what I want you to do. Here's how I want you to do it. Go do it. And on the next call, show me what you did, what kind of result did you need, and then we make course corrections. Every single one of the calls is money-making activities, no bullcrap. We're not going to run around the room. We're not going to yell affirmations in the mirror. We're going to make money, and we're going to sell houses. Who's in? Okay. I can't do all of you. I can't do everybody. I can do a group of 200. That's what we'll do. Take a picture of the QR code. There's already people, because my boys have been outside talking to some of you. Take a picture of this, and let's get you signed up. We're starting in September. I'm on the road until then, and so is Brent. He's in Puerto Rico, so he's always on the road, but I'm actually working, Brent. So I'm actually out there shaking trees. You know, I started the session today by talking about wanting to build a business that my family would want to be part of. I wanted to have my cousins and I wanted my kids to have family. Can I show you a picture of my family? So I want you to look at my family. This is my family today. These are my kids and my grandkids. And look at the diversity we have in my family. We are America. There's some cool pictures up there. Okay, so, you know, like you try and figure out what you have in common with a guy that served 2 years as a Mormon missionary in Manchester, England, knocking on doors. Let me tell you something, folks. You think selling houses is hard? Try selling Jesus. In a country where they only go on Christmas and Easter. Like, it was hard. It was hard. But I learned a lot of great things. That's my sister, Leanne. She's married to Hani El-Kebi. He's Muslim. He's from Beirut, Lebanon. She was in Martha's Vineyard being a nanny, and he sold her some shoes and got a green card. That was a good deal. You think that's a weird deal? Try putting the Mormons and the Muslims together. I'm telling you what, Brent, it's a funny culture thing, but he's my favorite brother-in-law because he loves his family, and he is a great dad. I love anybody that follows their faith. The African-American guy standing next to my sister is the baby she gave up for adoption when she was raped at 17. We found him on Ancestry.com 2 years ago, Christmas. This is the first time we met him and his kids. Played football at Utah State. My daughter, Brianne, right there in the blue shirt, she's the president of our company. Next to her is Danny Ika. He's Tongan. My little granddaughters are, my sweet little granddaughters, and I have 7 granddaughters, we have Tongan, we have American Indian, I have Mexican, we have Dutch and English, which is what I thought I was till I got my ancestry back, and I found out I'm more German than Dutch. Who knew? What I found out was all of the soldiers in Germany would go over to hook up with the Dutch girls because they were cuter. And so there's all these mixed Dutch and Germans. It was fascinating. Anyway, so that's my family. I promise you, folks, that if you do the right things, if you focus on the activities that make a difference, you can have it all. You can have a great life where you get to be a participant in the lives of your family instead of just a spectator. You can have a great income. You can make a lot of money. You can serve a lot of people. You really want to be a great team leader? Stop trying to make people do something and start serving them. Find out what they want. And if I can just give you one final thought, and that is simply to this, is life is not a journey to the grave, folks, with the intention of arriving pretty and safely in a well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside, totally worn out, thoroughly used up, loudly proclaiming, "Woo! What a ride! Let's go have a great ride, everybody. Let's have some lunch." Thank you, everybody. Brent, let's knock this out of the park.